everybody and welcome to the Armourgeddon channel. Today we have our M8 Greyhound out. This is our M8 armoured car. We've got a movie job coming up for it again, so we've got her out just so we can give her a check over, make sure she's working okay and give her a run round, have a bit of a play with her while she's out. Now the M8 Greyhound was the name the British gave her. She was designed as a light reconnaissance vehicle. So built between 1943 and 1945. This old girl was built in 1944. Saw quite a lot of action with the British and the Americans. Everybody seemed to use these. Fitted with a 37mm main gun, which in the early days of the war was quite adequate for taking on the German tanks. But by the time these were actually built, they were only any good really for the light stuff, so half tracks and infantry, that sort of stuff. And they also fitted a 30 cal machine gun on this side for, again, for infantry protection. 4-man crew, weighs in, I think, at about 7.5 tons. Can't remember what the top speed is, but she's pretty quick, which is why the British called her the Greyhound. She had a Hercules petrol engine in her, and this particular one hasn't. This one's got a diesel engine in it. What we did, we bought in 5 of them from Greece, because the Greeks were using these way after the war. I think we fetched them in at about, probably about 18 years ago now. We, like I say, we had 5. We'd restored the others and sold them on. This one we kept ourselves though. But the Greeks had up-engined them. They'd put a Steyr diesel in. And when we got these were wrecks. These had been in the scrapyard for quite some years. And there was no engines in them. And what the Greeks had to do to make the Steyr engine fit, which was a really good engine and made them extremely quick, but they had to extend the vehicle by 11 inches, I believe, and also raise the decks of the engine bay by about 4 inches. So what we did, we actually put it back to its original length and its original height. This meant we couldn't use the Steyr engine though. So what we did, we got a modern diesel engine out of a Bedford and put that in. The reason we used the particular engine we did was because it bolted straight onto the original gearbox. So it made life quite easy for us and it kept it as original as we wanted it to be. Like I say, it was straight out of the scrapyard. You would not have believed the state it was in when we got it. And to give an idea, the deactivation at the time when we got it was to actually fill this barrel with concrete. That was the deactivation. That's all we had to deal with. She is again live now because we are allowed live guns, main armament. We're registered firearms dealers, so all the stuff you see in our museum can be live, legally live. If you were to have one of these without a firearms certificate, then you would have to deactivate it, which means chopping the breech block and all sorts of different bits and pieces. But we're lucky, we can actually blank fire this one if we want to. Like I say, there's a 4-man crew in here, so you would have had your driver just here, your co-driver there, and then your 2-man crew, so you'd have had your gunner and your commander, who was also your loader. Now then, we'll show you inside the vehicle in a minute, but you'll see we've actually taken the steering wheel off. Now there's a good reason for that, and if you were in here you'd see why. Basically, with the steering wheel on, it's a real nightmare to get up underneath. It's sort of, you know, I'm a little bit portly now to get under it. I should think the crews for the drivers of these things were about 4'6" and very skinny. So we cheated a little bit by disconnecting that. Obviously we put it back on when we want to drive. Other than that, everything in here is as it would have been. Now obviously your driver doesn't sit there with his head out. He has actually got these hatches here. And they're not waterproof, I can guarantee, because I did drive it a long way one day and it was absolutely chucking it down and I got drowned. But basically, that is your top armour, and then this one comes here and clicks up there. Then you would have a scope in here so that you're protected, but obviously it's not very thick. It's not even, probably not even an inch thick. It's probably ½ inch thick, the armour on there, but it was better than nothing. And in here is the engine. And you can see how we've shoehorned this one in. We've got electric fans on it, diesel engine. We do a lot of movie work with this one. I'll put it down because it's really heavy. We do a lot of movie work with this one, a lot of shows and different things. and we find the diesel engine there's nothing wrong with the petrol engine at all. The petrol engine, if you get a real nice one, it's running perfectly, they are absolutely spot on. But for our job, what we found is the diesel engine's a bit more reliable, a bit more guaranteed to start when you press the go button, touch wood, famous last words. So that's why we fitted this in. Plus at the time, when we were rebuilding this, to find an original engine for it was actually quite difficult. So it was the best of both worlds to have that fitted. As you can see, it's a 6-wheel drive vehicle. And they're not actually very good off-road. They did have a habit of bogging down. Absolutely brilliant on-road, but off-road they did bog down quite badly. We actually had this stuck, which was quite embarrassing. We did have it stuck in a very small ditch. As you can see, our front tyres are getting a little bit worn, so we have actually got some new ones ordered. Unbelievably, you can actually still buy tyres for these. As you can see, this wheel that Dave's just coming up to now, that is a brand new tyre. One of the other things you'll notice with these tyres, these wheels, is they're what they call split rims, which makes them highly dangerous, I think. But you see this ring here, that is a split ring. So what you do is you take that ring out, and the actual rims themselves come in half, which means you then put them together and make it all nice. The problem is when you pump it up, these rings are highly dangerous. You have to be, only certain places will do it, because if you get it wrong, it'll spring out and kill anybody that's within range. So here we have the gunner's position. This is your main 37mm gun. This is your traverse. Oh, that's a bit stiff, hasn't been used for a while. So that goes around like that, turret lock down there, and then your elevation is down to the side here. Oh, that works a treat. Now then, this 37mm gun actually is more powerful than you would think. I do believe there is even a story going on that one of these M8s took out a Tiger tank, which was quite an incredible thing and extremely brave. What they did was to get round the back of the Tiger tank, and then they laid a load of shells in from behind. Tiger tank armour in the back is quite thin, so this was quite capable of penetrating that armour. But what you imagine going up against a Tiger in this flimsy thing. So here's your ammunition in the ready rack. Got to be a bit careful with it, because this is only it's an original shell case, but that is only a plastic top, you see. So that is basically where it would be. You'd open your breech, dunk, this would slide in, ready to fire, okay? Simple as that. Gun would recoil, next round ready, straight in and away you go. Rate of fire would be quite fast. You could get quite a few rounds through this in quite a short time. Especially, I guess, if you got a Tiger in front of you, you'd be firing them as fast as your little fingers could work. Very brave men to go to war in one of these. So, as I was saying, here's the steering wheel. As you can see, it's a bit snug to say the least. So we've made it so it comes off. When we're driving down the road, though, we have got the nut here, and we just put the nut on so it doesn't come off. So it gets very exciting very quick. Now, quite an interesting thing, what they did when they were built in the war, they had all this armour around the side, which is only up to about 1 inch thick, I think, but the floor wasn't armoured, so the floor was just tin. And one of the 5 that we actually fetched in from Greece still had the original tin floor in it, which made them very prone to damage from mines. So what they did, this was in service in World War II, they welded armour in. This was like a field modification that they did. The original tin floor is still under there, but they actually welded armour plate over it, just to try and protect the crews. So the actual one that we did have with the tin floor was quite a rare beast, I believe, because most of them now have been welded up. And as you can see, this is the dashboard. This is original. We've added a few bits, like that's your indicator switch, and that's a air gauge, so we've got air brakes on this particular one. Down here is the gears, and then you've got your 4-wheel drive and your high and low. Can't remember which one's which, but I can't remember. I think that's the high and low, and that's the 4-wheel drive, or 6-wheel drive. And then you've got your gear selector down here. And this, as you can see, this would be your driver's position and your co-driver's position there. Now, when you see these on footage of them out in World War II, they always had a lot of bags hanging off the side of them. That's because there's no room in here. By the time you've got your actual fighting kit in, so your ammunition, your radio, all your bits and pieces you need for that, there's not a lot of room for personal kit. So what they did, they hung that on the outside of the turret, which is great until you start getting shot at, and then you end up with holes in your Sunday best. Now we've added a few extras like the indicators here, because this old girl is road legal, so we do drive her down the road. You definitely need a co-driver though, because in the driver's position you can't see left or right at all. So we always have a co-driver in here, and we have comms on. Because it's got the diesel engine in it, it's quite noisy, so we have comms so we can communicate. But we've made a few changes. There's your mirrors and your indicators for it, just so it complies to law and keeps us a bit safer. Right then, let's put the steering wheel on, take her for a bit of a spin. That's why we like a diesel engine. It starts most of the time straight away. Anybody wants to come fishing as well, we have a cracking fishing lake here, full of carp, and on a nice day like today, absolutely beautiful down here. If anybody wants one of these, there's one for sale at the moment on Millweb, and you will have hours of fun in it. So there we have our M8 Greyhound. Lots of fun. If you ever get a chance to have a go in one, take it up. They are brilliant. We don't get these things out often enough, but we're going to work our way through the museum. So please keep watching. So we also have a Patreon. So if you subscribe to the Patreon, is that what it's called? Subscribe? So we also have a Patreon. If you subscribe to the Patreon, what that means is you're going to be able to come over in November. There is a date set, I can't remember what it is. It's November the 23rd, is it? Or, oh, 28th, November the 28th. And you'll be able to get in some of these vehicles. Maybe you want to get in the M8 and have a look inside it. Won't be driving them at that time, but there's the Sherman you'll be able to get into, the Lee, which is just an experience on its own getting into the Lee. Plus all the other vehicles. There's going to be an M60 there, the Chieftain, lots and lots of things to come and have a go at. come and have a look in. So please sign up to it, and all the money that we earn from that does go into helping with these restorations, and we have some big restorations coming up next year.